You may now be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin the program, please allow us to share a few house rules to ensure the program runs smoothly. Please set your mobile phones and other devices to silent mode to avoid any distractions. Please avoid leaving your seats during the lecture. During the Q&A, kindly wait for the moderator's cue and use the designated microphones for questions. When it's your turn to ask, please state your name and your affiliation before posing in your question. Also, please speak with clarity. In case of emergency, please remain calm and use the nearby exit areas. Someone will guide everyone to the culminating area. Please note that this event is live streamed and being photographed. By being in this event, you give your consent to be recorded and photographed. Once again, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special lecture featuring the Foreign Minister of Slovenia. Today, we gather under the theme, Slovenia in the Philippines, Bridging ASEAN Connectivity. This afternoon, we will hear insights on vital topics such as ASEAN-Slovenia relations and the Philippines and Slovenia foreign relations and how the two countries could further collaborate in the near future. This afternoon, we are honored by the presence of distinguished guests, members of the Slovenian delegation, diplomatic corps from the ASEAN member states, the FEU academic community, our industry partners. Your presence in this afternoon's event puts emphasis on the importance of this occasion. This historic event will not be possible without the collaboration between the Department of Foreign Affairs and the FEU Department of International Studies, the Institute of Arts and Sciences, and the FEU Office of International Relations. To formally begin today's event, let us all rise for the Philippine and Slovenian national anthems to be performed by the FEU Chorale. This will be followed by the multi-faith prayer.
Bayang magiliw, pelas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupi, di ka pasisingil, sa dagat at bundok, sa simula, sa langit mong bakaw, may dilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kisap ng matawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdinignig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng walang pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya naman may mga kapit, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Glory to you, Almighty, for gathering us today. Give us fortitude to conquer life's challenges. Inspire us to excel and be upright in everything we do. Guide us to remain united in diversity, to serve and love one another. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you very much. At this juncture, we are pleased to invite Mr. Juan Miguel R. Martinola, President of Far Eastern University, for his welcoming remarks.
It is an honor and privilege to welcome Her Excellency, Tanja Fajon, Minister of Foreign and European Affairs, Republic of Slovenia, Dr. Smiljana Kenets, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Embassy of the Republic of Slovenia in Manila, Dr. Lai Thai Bin, Ambassador of Vietnam, Dato Abdul Malik Melvin, Ambassador of Malaysia to the Philippines, Lourdes Arroyo Bernas, Philippine Ambassador to the Republic of Slovenia, Dr. Rosaurio Manalo, former Undersecretary of Foreign Affairs. Welcome to FEU. We are a school system of 60,000 students operating out of 14 campuses, one of which is in Brunei Darussalam, where we operate the Philippines' first transnational branch permit for nursing. We are near 100 years old, with our centennial anniversary in 2028. This campus is our main and heritage campus. It is UNESCO cited for having one of the largest collections of Art Deco-style architectured buildings, and for the 6 art pieces and 6 buildings that have been declared by the National Museum as national treasures. This building where we are in right now is one such. All our buildings and art pieces are in full use and full view for students and the community to enjoy. We are proud to be an active repository of Philippine art, culture, and heritage. For student development, we envision ourselves as contributing to an exclusive and sustainable society. We accept students from all educational backgrounds, as disparity is more often a lack of opportunity than the lack or absence of motivation. Our assessments place importance on improvement gains as a complement to achieved point levels. We promote learner-centered education with aim to produce independent thinkers, highly employable and competitive professionals who are invested in the advancement of an economically viable and sustainable Philippines and other global societies where they may eventually end up living or working. With a median age of 25 years old, our work cannot be more timely. Majority of the population are working age, 16 to 65 years old, imparting relevant content, skills, and the attributes for lifelong success, matched by productive investments for job creation from both the private and government sectors, is the unique opportunity to elevate our country's income and development status. This demographic window is a rare opportunity that comes once in a very long time, and thus must not be wasted. The timing, therefore, of the enhanced relations with the Republic of Slovenia could not be better. The establishment of an embassy here in the Philippines, the first in Southeast Asia, serves as a base in the furtherance of trade and investments, science and technology exchange, academic and cultural collaborations, which are all needed to help ensure we have good support to uplift the Philippines and Filipinos. For FEU in particular, this gateway provides additional opportunities to collaborate with European academic institutions in research, faculty development, benchmarking, possibly student exchange, for which we have had some notable ones, and all have been very stimulating and rewarding. We look forward to playing a role in ensuring best student and faculty development through a collaborative learning bridge between our nations, fostering academic, cultural, and economic growth for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Now may we invite the Ambassador of the Republic of Slovenia to the Philippines, Excellency Dr. Smilian Kines, to give a special message.
Dear Mr. President, dear Mr. Dean, Vice Presidents, Excellencies, dear Minister, it is my great pleasure to be here on such a special occasion, and I am grateful to the Department for Foreign Affairs for suggesting this eminent university to organize together a lecture of our Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign and European Affairs, Ms. Tanja Fajon, who is here on an official visit to the Philippines. It is the first ever visit of Slovenian Foreign Minister to this beautiful country. It is another special occasion since we opened the first embassy in the ASEAN region exactly in Manila. It happened yesterday. So we are very much looking forward to to strengthen our cooperation in all possible areas, including between universities. Universities are cradle of civilization and are engine for social and economic development. We might rely on artificial intelligence, but we will never survive without human intelligence, and this is you. So thank you very much for having us here.
Thank you so much, Excellency, for this special message. Now, to introduce our distinguished speaker, we would like to invite the Dean of the Institute of Arts and Sciences, Mr. Diego R. Abad.
Tanja Fajon holds a university degree in journalism and has completed postgraduate studies in international politics and management. She worked as a journalist at Radio Glas Ljubljana and at the Republika newspaper, and from 1995 at RTV Slovenia. For 8 years, she was a correspondent for RTV Slovenia in Brussels, where she closely followed Slovenia's accession to the European Union and the first years of its membership. She was first elected to the European Parliament in 2009 and on behalf of the Social Democrats, and again in 2014 and 2019. During her parliamentary term, she was constantly active in the Committee on Civil Liberties, Justice, and Home Affairs, and the Committee on Foreign Affairs. She has made a name for herself in the Western Balkans, where, among other things, she played a key role as the European Parliament's rapporteur on visa liberalization for the countries of the region, and as an advocate of respect for democracy, the rule of law, and human rights and equality. She was also one of the most active MEPs on asylum and migrant policy and the reform of the Schengen legislation. She has also been actively involved in transatlantic relations, campaigning for respect for human rights and the protection of personal data and the environment and workers' rights and protection. During her second parliamentary term, between 2014 and 2019, she served as vice chair of the group of the Progressive Alliance of Socialists and Democrats in the European Parliament, and was also one only Slovenian ever to be named twice among the 40 most influential MEPs by the influential magazine Politico. In 2020, she was elected president of the Social Democrats at the Social Democrat Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Her Excellency Tanja Fajon, Foreign Minister and European Affairs.
Thank you so much. First, for wonderful hospitality. I have to say that I've never experienced in any university during my professional life as a politician that I would, on the other side of the planet, listen in my language the national anthem. So really congratulations and thank you indeed, because that was very touching. Magadang Arau. Thank you. Good day, dober dan, in my language. I have to say, dear President, all distinguished members of the diplomatic corps, but mostly dear students, it's great to see so many students to be here and interested to this lecture and this discussion, I hope with questions and answers, on the relations between Europeans, Slovenians, and Philippines. And I was wondering maybe at the beginning of this lecture to know how many of you have you ever traveled to Europe or to Slovenia? If there is any, I would be happy to hear. Not many, one, two, some hands. Europe, Slovenia. I would just like to give few numbers about Slovenia, to know a little bit where we are. We are a very small country. Around 30 years ago, we had bloody wars and we had an independence from former Yugoslavia at that time. So Slovenia today is an independent sovereign state of 2 million inhabitants. We are very small, but very ambitious, very proud with our identity, our language, our culture, our heritage. We have beautiful alpine region, beautiful Adriatic Sea. We have clean water, clean air. We like to be proud of our nature and protection of nature. And I'm quite sure that you know our sport people like Luka Doncic. And so at least we have a very good export person to be known in Philippines. Last 2 days, I hear quite often this name. Apart of any other sport people that we have in our country. But I'm not here to speak about much on Slovenia, but I would like really to touch on topics that are very close to my heart. I've been a Minister for Foreign and European Affairs of the Republic of Slovenia for the last 3 years, and also the Deputy Prime Minister, and also the first female Foreign Minister in the history of my country. I want to talk today about some topic that is very relevant to me, but I believe also to all of you that study here, and to Philippines and to Slovenia. We are in many ways, even being so far apart, like-minded countries. We are both very friendly countries. We commend the rule of law, the international law, the multilateralism. So in many ways, we are much closer to each other than being apart. And last 2 days, being here for the first official visit, I have to say that I experienced a fantastic and warm hospitality from our hosts and Filipino people. And we had a lot of very constructive discussions. Not only when it comes to strengthening political ties in very challenging geopolitical environment, facing a lot of crises all around the world, but also strengthening our economic ties with potential we have. Slovenia is a very export-oriented country, but we are having very specific niches where we can build our know-how and share it with our partners. Speaking about space, speaking about tourism, transport, environment, renewable energy, pharmaceuticals, ITC, artificial intelligence, etc. So these were all the areas we tried to elaborate how to cooperate better. And now I will come to the topic of today, which is how to deal with geopolitical situation, multilateralism, the rule of law, the values that we share. Slovenia is now the second year a non-permanent member in the Security Council of the United Nations. This year we mark 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War. That was the bloodiest war back in our civilization. And why am I saying that? Slovenia lost at that time 1/10 of our population. And I think Philippines, 100,000 of civilians. So this was a bloody war. And after this war that we were all left on the margins of poverty, divisions, the United Nations organization was created. With one single mission, this is how to build peace, how to build security. And this organization today is still the oldest organization that serves to the purpose, but is extremely challenged. Today, we are faced with numerous crises around the world. I can just mention Russian aggression in Ukraine, war in Gaza, conflicts in the Middle East, Sudan, Myanmar, name it. We have the highest number of civilian deaths, again in the history, the highest number of deaths among humanitarian workers. And we are discussing about what prevails, the power of the rules or the rules of the power. And for our states, I believe for Philippines and for Slovenia, it's very important that the power of the rules prevail, so that we have a strong multilateralism, efficient institutions, strong Security Council, United Nations, and world-based order. For us, is no better alternative. That is why, being Slovenia a member of the European Union, being a member of NATO alliance, we are also making and building strong partnerships and allies with like-minded countries around the world. So we are reaching out to South Asia, where we have friends, where we have allies. And in our globalized world, I think we strongly need each other. We want to deal with challenges through a peaceful way, with political means and not military solutions. We want to search for a political dialogue. We are working on solidarity, on friendships, and on the power of the rules. So our experience now, if I go in concrete, we are a member of the Security Council in the last year and few months. We see that the institution and the Security Council is extremely challenged. It's outdated. Because since the beginning of the Russian aggression in Ukraine, we are having countries that are violating the UN Charter law, that believe that with a force, the land can be taken away and the international borders can be, recognized borders can be changed. And we are not accepting that. And I think we have same challenges. I also expressed solidarity with Philippines, with the challenges facing in the West Philippine Sea and Southeast China Sea. So we commend strongly on the international law, maritime law, and also in your case, arbitration award from 2016. And for that reason, in the last 2 days, we were discussing also how to rebuild this partnership of trust, to gain trust among each other, to listen to each other, to hear each other, to understand each other better, and how to build this partnership. For Slovenia, living on the European continent was in the last 3 years shaken quite strongly. And we are challenged maybe the worst time in the history after the Second World War. With a war on our continent, something that was unimaginable 3 years ago, with seeing the destruction of civilian infrastructure, many lives, innocent civilian lives, being lost in Ukraine. We want to see that this Russian aggression in Ukraine stops. But we also want to see that any peace agreement that will be reached is reached on the basis of what Ukrainians can accept. I think this is very important, that we really still command to what is a just and lasting peace. And also how to discuss about safety guarantees, how to discuss about reconstruction and the peace for the future on our continent. For that, we need also partners. Same goes when we discuss Middle East. And I will go through crises that we are mostly discussing in the last 2 years. The Middle East and the war in Gaza last year was the topic #1 in the Security Council. Unfortunately, through many different resolutions that we were also co-sponsoring or being author, we didn't manage to get a consensus, or we failed to reach implementation on the ground for a ceasefire, for a humanitarian assistance to civilians, for exchange of hostages and prisoners, for the implementation of two-state solution. Slovenia last year recognized independent and sovereign state of Palestine because we believed, and it's in our DNA, that every nation has a right for a self-determination. And we believe that we give a hope to people that maybe see that no one recognizes their right. And we want to see the end of violence, atrocities. We are condemning strongly the violence in the West Bank, what is going on with international law violations. And we are very vocal on that topic also through the Security Council. And I know that Philippines were aligning with us on both topics, when it comes to Ukraine, when it comes to the Middle East. And I can commend that. We were talking about Sudan, Africa. It's a lot of challenges with growing terrorism, threats, radical groups, extreme weather conditions, to mention just a few. And then comes to Indo-Pacific. Geopolitics today, we all see it's basically shifting from our part of the world to Indo-Pacific. And Southeast Asia and the region, together with the Philippines, it's growing in importance in political terms, in economic terms, and we are all trying to build important partnerships and allies. And Philippines are also the fastest growing economy in this region. Next year we'll be presiding ASEAN, very important. And for that reason, I think these close ties with the Europeans or with like-minded countries are really important. So for us in the Security Council nowadays, seeing that we are challenged with certain countries not respecting the UN Charter or the international law, that we also have to rethink how to make multilateralism more effective and how to make the reform of the United Nations and the Security Council to better reflect the current geopolitical situation. And we, apart from dealing with global challenges, wars and crises around the planet, we try to address the soft topic where Slovenia was almost always in our history very vocal. This is human rights, solidarity, respect of dignity. And we as a small country are presenting the voice of over 100 small countries in the United Nations. We are trying to be loud when it comes to protection of environment, clean and healthy access to the water, water diplomacy, as understanding that water is often the source of the conflicts, and to manage the water is something that is very important. And the same when it comes to climate change, that we all share the same challenges, extreme weather conditions. We also deal a lot, and this maybe it's my last final point, because a few days ago we celebrated the International Women's Day. Women, politics, so women, peace, security, it's something that I am actually very active on. Also as a first female foreign minister, I introduced in our foreign policy feminist policy network, feminist strategy. It's nothing new in the concept, but it's talking about empowering women and girls in conflicts around the world, speaking about what are the challenges, including women in the processes of negotiations for peace, and raising awareness. For that reason, I know you are celebrating 1 month this month exactly on women issues. I wish to conclude that this is something where we find each other also very close. I'm happy to say something more on the topic on women, peace, security, protection of civilians, protection of children, human rights issues, all that are shared values together with Philippines. And I do hope that Philippines will join the Security Council of United Nations in near future, because I understand that the country will be a candidate country. And I also offer our full support and expertise from the last 2 years, from our candidacy and experience now that we are facing in a Security Council, and also challenges, so we need partners as such working close together. So thank you very much. I will be very happy if you put some questions, and I prefer to answer, that I will not be too boring for you to listen what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Foreign Minister Fajon, for such an insightful speech. May I invite you to please join me in a moment as I moderate the discussion and question and answer. Once again, welcome and thank you for your generosity in taking some time out of your busy schedule to visit FEU. And indeed, it's such an honor for us to, for you to have here with us. So before we dive into a much deeper discussion, I'd like to start on a lighter note. A lot of Filipinos, and I know that you already you've been asked by this question. I mean, a lot of Filipinos wanted to know what's the reaction of Slovenians about Luka Doncic's surprise trade from Dallas Mavericks and also LA Lakers. But I'm just kidding, you know, Foreign Minister. I'm pretty sure that Slovenians, like Filipinos, are very passionate about sports like basketball, volleyball, and also football. So, but if you want to give your reaction about it.
I can say that this was the first news for several days in our media in Slovenia when Luka changed to Dallas. But I think you can see, even when there are matches at nights, people are gathering in the pubs, watching, cheering together. It's really national proud. But it's not only Luka. I have to be fair. We have fantastic world champion in cycling. We have ski jumpers, winter sports, name it. We are a very small nation, but growing up as being out in the nature and do sports.
Yes, a lot of Olympians coming from Slovenia, right?
Luka was here some years ago, I remember.
Yes. So moving on to my real question. Last few days, I mean, a while ago, you're talking about the geopolitical situation. And last few days, Singaporean Foreign Minister Vivian Valavigendran gave a compelling speech at the Parliament highlighting the increasingly uncertain world order. I want to ask, what role should women play in this increasingly changing global security environment? And what advice can you give for young Filipinas who aspire to be a diplomat. They're here at the audience. They want to hear your thoughts about it.
Let me first address the topic that I briefly mentioned before, where I see concerns. I seriously see concerns when the world-based order is challenged and being threatened as we see it today. And when I said before that what has to prevail, the power of the rules or rule of the power, for us, being a small country, we have no other alternative. We need strong institution, we need the rule of law, international law, the world order. And if you ask me whether women can make more peace in the world, I think this is too simplistic to answer. But certainly I would wish as a woman to see more women on high political positions and also high business positions, because just looking to your university, I understand that there are not mostly, more female graduating, or a slightly more number of female, but then we get lost somewhere on the high positions. And if you look, I just remember the time of COVID. In COVID, there was an interesting analysis, and I don't want to be blunt, but on this analysis, it proved that where were women leaders, the COVID situation was smoothly addressed in the society. Maybe there was a different approach, but statistics showed that the management of the country was working better. I don't want to say, it's black and white, but I think it would be good to have parity. And also, I was dealing a bit about the engagement of women in the negotiations for peace. We have fantastic women and great results when women are engaged in the negotiations for peace. And we would need that. But we lack this engagement. So we are really trying to promote the awareness to make women more active and engaged to fight not for their rights, but once they are in position for fight for the rights of others. So usually in the conflicts, in wars, in economic difficult situations, women are the victims. So for that reason, we have to be vocal, we have to speak about it, address the topic, and I would also say to students, be active, be engaged, because at the end of the day, we need young generation, and we are together creating our future.
Right. Thank you very much for that answer. You also mentioned in your speech a while ago that part of the broader foreign policy objective in Slovenia is to pivot to Southeast Asia. And what do you think is the potential of this region as regards to the future of multilateral cooperation, specifically now that we are facing a lot of geopolitical tensions across the world?
I had a chance to speak with several leaders, politicians, but also people or representatives of civil society or academia in the region of these countries. I visited them in the past or these days. We all face same challenges. Now Indo-Pacific is, of course, the whole geopolitics shifted here. We see partnerships, we see systematic rivalries between different forces in the region. But I think we need always to have open channels of dialogue, because global challenges affect us all, and we need each other. Just look to the climate change. We cannot address climate change without speaking to the biggest polluters, China, US, Europe, the biggest polluters, but those having also the big money that could pay green transition. So we need each other, we have to talk to each other, and I believe in your region, countries are also trying to position how to best build economy, progress, prosperity, and protect population back.
Yes, certainly a lot of Southeast Asian nations, especially now that we are in a developing stage, wanted to get some, expert advice on climate change and how to deal with the impact of climate change. Now, at this point, we're going to entertain some questions from the audience. May we call on James Martin Bagay?
Hello. Good afternoon, Her Excellency. Thank you for the nice talk about the geopolitical affairs of the world, as well as the ASEAN relations towards Slovenia po. My question for you po is, considering Slovenia's success in promoting its natural beauty and famous caves like the Postojna and the Skorjan, which have similarities to the Philippines' own natural attractions, what recommendations would you suggest for enhancing the Philippines' tourism sector to better showcase its unique landscapes and increase overall tourism?
I don't really see you because it's so dark in the back, but thank you for the question. I mean, Slovenia, we have really a lot of forests and we have clean water. It's one of the rare countries that we have even in our constitution written the right to the access to the water and healthy water, which is very close to our heart. So I would maybe say first it's about raising awareness and education. So if you start educating why all these natural resources are important and how to protect them, I think this is a good start. So then, of course, the authorities need to create the environment, how to protect best nature and how to build a safe future. Now we all experience, I just spoke with the president of Philippines who told me that in shortest time you experienced a huge number of typhoons and extreme weather conditions. In Slovenia, in the last 2 years, we experienced the worst floods in the history of our country and even worse drought with the forest fires. What we learned are at least 2 things. One is solidarity, that we need each other when it comes to crisis and extreme weather condition. But what was the second and more difficult lesson, that we are not prepared for extreme weather conditions. So at least not well prepared. And I learned today the same for you. So it takes time, it takes challenges, sometimes even the mindset, how to change, but at the end, financial costs. So it needs broader consensus, always. Politics, civil societies, how to address the issues. It doesn't change over the time, but it takes time to discuss, find a consensus, build where do you want to go, how do you want to go, and to strive to this final goal, how to protect the environment. So on tourism, we like to promote our country, but we are having small boutique tourism because we don't build huge hotels, we are not a destination with a great air connectivity, but we have really specific, beautiful locations where you can enjoy nature. So you have to find your niche, where to strengthen your tourism. What do you want to do? Who do you want to attract? And I think that we are not all alike. We are more focused on small boutique tourism and promoting our food productivity, our nature, and attract that kind of tourists.
I know, Madam Foreign Minister, that you're quite busy, especially in your visit here in the Philippines. But is there any specific area that you want to visit in the Philippines in the future, perhaps?
I have some passion in my life, which is diving. And I know that you have a beautiful sea.
We have a lot of that.
A lot of beautiful sea, and I think that you have very untouched and very healthy coral life still. And even that is changing because of typhoons, fishermen, pollution. But I, as a diver for the last 20 years, can see the change in the water. How this pollution or the weather, extreme weather condition are also affecting the sea and the corals and the biodiversity and the life. So I think we are facing same challenges, but still you are on the better side. So this is something I wish to spend more time.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. So I think your advocacy is really on the environment and environmental protection. Now, another question from the audience would come from Kyla Pamintuan.
Dobeldan. I would like to extend my deepest appreciations for a very informative and special lecture by Her Excellency Tanja Fajon, Minister of Foreign and European Affairs of the Republic of Slovenia. So for my question, Slovenia is widely recognized for its strong commitment in combating climate change, with environmental concerns being a top priority for its citizens. Also, as a member of European Union, Slovenia also has been actively engaged in global climate initiatives. So, are there any initiatives or plans in EU-Philippines or Slovenia-Philippines that could serve as a model for us in international cooperation in terms of combating climate change? And how do you envision Slovenia and the Philippines collaborating to strengthen global efforts in areas such as sustainability, disaster resilience, along with renewable energy? Thank you.
Thank you so much for this question. First, I know that Philippines really worked hard and they succeeded in achieve the seat of the Loss and Damage Fund when it comes to the environment protection. I think that is a very significant result, and we will try to help. Slovenia was one of the first countries to contribute to that fund. And I think we will need to work hard together to protect our environment and also make this green transition just, which means that we will have to take certain responsibilities. Slovenia is like Philippines using fossil fuels, and we are on both sides trying to phase out from fossil fuels. In Slovenia, we try to phase out latest by 2030 or 2033. We have a nuclear reactor that is very important to us, and I understand that we have actually same technology, same size, pretty much just that your was never put in action. But we still believe in a clean nuclear energy, and we will continue building, most likely in the years to come, the second reactor. And we are trying not only diversify our energy resources, especially because in the past we were heavily dependent on Russian gas and oil. So we, after the start of the Russian aggression to Ukraine, we try to diversify our energy resources. We produce a lot of electricity, but we still are not that ambitious as we can be using alternative renewables such as solar, wind, water. So we will in the future much more focus on solar energy, hydro energy, wind. But of course this always requires a big consensus, change of mindset, but also big financial resources. Here we will have to have strong, ambitious climate goals. Europe wants to see zero neutrality by 2050. We are really pushing hard on the climate agenda, and we need like-minded partners around the globe. But the Loss and Damage Fund, there are still, I think, a lot of uncertain questions around how to be operational, will be very important, and Philippines will play quite an important role in that regard. So we want to work close together.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Another question from Mr. Jared Mendoza.
Hello. Good day. I am Jared Miguel from International Studies. Considering Slovenia's strategic position in Europe and its growing engagement with Southeast Asia, how does Slovenia envision strengthening its presence in the Philippines and the broader ASEAN region to enhance economic, diplomatic, and cultural connectivity? Are there initiatives or partnerships Slovenia is pursuing to bridge ASEAN connectivity, particularly in trade, infrastructure, and sustainable development?
Thank you. This time when I have my first official visit to Philippines, I'm accompanied by almost 40 different companies and institutions that are expressing the interest on different sectors of cooperation. We today had a first Philippines-Slovenia Business Forum together with the chambers from both countries. And also the minister from your side participated, myself, we signed the agreement on cooperation. But what's interesting, where I see the potential of our interest, we have already here a small production of semiconductors. We have a strong company on space, producing satellites and technology to observe how the climate change affects the agriculture or the river banks. And we try to find some exchange of know-how and twinning between the companies. We have interest in exchange of know-how on artificial intelligence, on the sector of telecommunication, transport, tourism. You mentioned air connectivity. This is still something we will need some time, I think, on both sides. Because Slovenia is also challenged by air connectivity, how to best connect. We are small. But I do hope that we can attract. We do have, yesterday we signed even a work agreement, because we do have Filipino workers in Slovenia, but we also want to make sure that there is a clear agreement how to protect workers' rights, because they are very respected, very honored workforce, and there is a huge interest to also come to Slovenia, but we want to really be a good provider on both sides. This is one, but we want to go much beyond on that cooperation. That is why we are discussing on how to go further, even on nuclear energy, renewables, to exchange know-how. By the way, maybe even students, because we have 2 students program through our research institute, Jožef Stefan, in Ljubljana, that hosts now some Filipino students. Maybe that is something we can more explore even in the future.
Okay, thank you very much. Another question will come from Daniel de la Cruz.
Good afternoon, Foreign Minister Fajon. I'm Daniel de la Cruz, first year International Studies student here in FEU. For my question, as mentioned earlier, the Philippines and Slovenia share a deep passion for basketball. How can the 2 countries leverage their love for sports to foster deeper collaboration, specifically in areas such as cultural exchange, tourism, youth development, as well as sports development? Are there specific initiatives that Slovenia envisions to collaborate on with the Philippines to strengthen ASEAN connectivity through sports diplomacy? Thank you.
Good question, because just one event is really happening this year that is important to us. That is a men volleyball championship in autumn in Philippines, and also our team will be playing. So I do hope that I will convince my colleague minister who covers also sport to come here, but certainly we try to sign the agreement on sport collaboration. Also culture, what you mentioned, Philippines are this year honorable guest, I think, at Frankfurt Book Fair. And we have an experience of 2 years ago, which is a fantastic experience on the cultural level, so we can exchange our experiences. So culture, sport, tourism, these are always sectors where we wish to expand our collaboration. And I can say and add, when I was listening to your choir singing our national anthem, that we should invite them to one of our next national events at the embassy.
That's great. Okay. Thank you very much for your question. Another question would come from a guest from our neighboring university, University of Santo Tomas, Mr. Miguel S. Tomata.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency. I am Miguel Estomata from the first year Asian Studies student from the University of Santo Tomas. Earlier, you highlighted the involvement of Slovenia in combating climate change, and I think this question is connected or perhaps similar from the questions given earlier. So, given that Slovenia is known for its commitment to environmental sustainability practices, what specific areas of environmental and climate change collaboration could the Philippines and Slovenia prioritize for mutually beneficial projects?
I hope already I touched a little bit on that, but I think protection of environment is something that we can best cooperate. And we discussed on that, being a very green country, having this experience on water diplomacy, climate diplomacy, that we can best exchange our practices. Maybe one of the issues I haven't mentioned, but it's also important, we are a bee country, beekeepers. So, but bees are very important as pollinators. And we are also, through beekeepers and protecting of bees, protecting our environment. Maybe we can share some know-how, but certainly we are the country that gave the initiative for the World Bee Day through United Nations. And we are every year celebrating that with a traditional bee breakfast through our schools and universities with honey, bread, milk, and apple. So we have our specifics, how we best can also be self-sufficient with our production we have small, medium-sized farms and agriculture, so we try really to produce as much as possible at home and promote healthy food also. So these are things we can share, maybe little things, but with the same goal, how to best protect our environment.
All right, thank you very much. I think another question would come from Ambassador Manalo.
Welcome, Madam, to my beautiful country, the Republic of the Philippines. I was wondering if we could have your views on artificial intelligence and its role in international relations, both the positive side and the negative side. And if you have the negative side, what solution would you propose to overcome this negative side? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your question. I might not be the best expert, but I'm every day faced with this opportunity and challenge of artificial intelligence. Let me first start by how we are dealing with it back at home. Because we are, as a country, first target of hybrid and cyber attacks, much more now than before. But I think that is quite common to all of us. But now we are developing how we can resist to that, how to strengthen our systems back in the country, including our ministry. But at the same time, what we are now doing is how to make use of artificial intelligence through our work of the ministry. This is one little element. where I see a huge opportunity, but if you don't know how to use it properly, can be very dangerous too. And we are now just making a program of education to best practices of use of artificial intelligence in the way that it's wise and that people know how to use it, because everyone basically uses it. This is just in terms of from bottom to the top. But now, speaking in bigger dimensions, whether this is a challenge or an opportunity, I think if it comes in the wrong hands, it's a big danger. And how to regulate it and how to deal with it, it's another question. That was a topic that we addressed several times also in the discussions. I know that UK put it high on the agenda in the Security Council during the presidency, and we also followed on that. How to manage the use of artificial intelligence that it doesn't come in the wrong hands. You know what I mean with that. But this, we will have to find solutions. I always feel that as a society, we are lagging behind, and that it's very difficult to properly have proper legislation. It's impossible, global-wise. So it's something that we will have to use ethics, moral, awareness, education, and how to best use it. I don't have a better answer. I'm not an expert, but I'm equally, or I don't know if you are, but I'm quite concerned sometimes that next to the opportunities, what can be really all the dangers that we can face if it's put in the wrong hands.
All right, thank you very much. Another question from the audience. You may approach the microphone and then state your name and your affiliation.
Good afternoon, Her Excellency. I am Benjamin Supanga. I'm a fourth-year student of International Relations and Diplomacy here in FEU. And yeah, first of all, happy Women's Month. And yeah, my question is related to that, ma'am. As a woman in the sphere of international relations, especially the first female foreign minister, international relations, a male-dominated field, are there any challenges that you had to face? And as we can see, we have numerous young women here as well, and some might want to enter diplomacy as well. What are the tips that you can offer for us? Thank you.
Thank you. I could maybe speak too long on the topic, but I will try to limit myself. First, what is my really good experience as a foreign minister? We have a network and we use some online media, so like applications, Signal and others, where we connected female foreign ministers around the globe, which is really, really something that is very efficient. We are not so many of us, you are right. Looking among 27 EU members, I think currently we are 5 female foreign ministers, which is a small number. But we created a policy network and we are connected mostly with a purpose. We also allow men to join us, mostly with the purpose that we address the topics that are maybe often, I wouldn't say forgotten, but don't come high on the agenda. Like we discussed about women's rights recently in Afghanistan. We, last time when I was at the Munich Security Conference, met the women from Syria that are engaged in a political transition, how to put women in the process of the new government. Then we are discussing about the rights of women and girls in Iran, so where you see that there are huge challenges. And we are women together standing for these women's rights. And I think this is very important, to be loud, to talk about it, to raise awareness. When it comes back to home, you know, we have to be good example. I tried as a minister 3 years ago also to put certain rules in the house. You know, one thing is to say we have a lot of good female diplomats, but then you don't have them as an ambassadors. So something might be wrong. So how to reach to parity on the leading positions inside the ministry and also on the parity when you look the diplomatic network you have abroad. So I'm trying to go down that road, to be a good example. So to have the equal position of women and men as directors at top managerial posts inside the ministry. But then also to create conditions that diplomats, women, would really go out and be ambassadors, because often it comes to family obstacles. So you have to create proper conditions. And you have to, you know, somehow engage women, see how to improve the system. Start first from yourself, then you can be a good example how to help the others.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. Now, for the interest of time, we will be entertaining one more question from the audience. Please approach the microphone and say your name and your affiliation, please. Maybe only one question. Okay. Perhaps maybe we can just consolidate the other questions.
Sorry.
Yes.
The message in general. So, mine is for the USA and the European.
About ASEAN.
All right, so maybe you can just ask the question first, and let's see if Foreign Minister can still answer the question.
Let's ask.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency. My name is Christine Giul from the University of Santo Tomas, and I'm studying political science. And my question would be, with the recent cutting of foreign aid from the United States of America, particularly the US aid, that cater and support the needs of Philippine healthcare, is there, if any, a potential foreign aid from Europe, specifically from Slovenia, to assist the Philippines and other developing nations in this matter? Thank you.
Next question.
To President, Foreign Minister Fajon, I'm Stephanie Soldao, a first-year international studies student here in FEU. It's an honor to see you here, especially since Slovenia holds a special place in my heart after Slovenia being assigned to me, or my assigned country in my recent experience in Model United Nations. My question will be, so given your transition from journalism to diplomacy, what valuable lessons have you carried from your media career that continue to shape your leadership and communication style today? And as future leaders, what message or advice would you give us in navigating our own careers on the international stage? Thank you.
All right. Next question.
Good day, Her Excellency. Mabuhay and welcome to the Philippines and to the ASEAN region. My name is Christopher, a rapporteur in the ASEAN Foundation, and recognizing the mutual interest in strengthening ties between Slovenia and Southeast Asia, and acknowledging the valuable part of the work of organizations like the ASEAN Foundations in fostering people-to-people connections, ASEAN youths are keen to understand Slovenia's strategic approach to bridging ASEAN's connectivity. Could Her Excellency elaborate on the specific initiatives that the government of Slovenia plans to implement to enhance cultural understandings, educational opportunities such as scholarship programs, and professional exchanges between ASEAN member states and Slovenia? Thank you, Her Excellency.
Maybe I just briefly, because I will forget the different topics, but I will be very short. You have difficult questions. On exchange programs, we have to explore opportunities, but I think the best way is how to get to know each other to promote people-to-people's contacts and exchange of students. I think this is the right way to go. On USAID, I would just say that we were hit when it comes to development, humanitarian aid. We have one ITF agency for humanitarian demining, so we are equally concerned if we have some cut of funds. But I think the other parts of the world that have a really crucial humanitarian USAID assistance and development are really seriously concerned, and I share this concern. And just on this beautiful question, what would be my advice? What can I say? From journalism to politics, it's quite often a way in our society. But for me, that was a great experience, because as a journalist, you have to know how to communicate. And as a politician, if you don't know how to communicate, you can have a fantastic idea, but you will not convince people. So it's good to have this understanding that in both ways, it's quite some connection how to best communicate. So journalism and politics have something in common. And for you as young students, and if you want to be, and I do hope you want to be promising future leaders, just be brave. Don't be afraid. Be open-minded. Listen to each other. Try to understand what's going on around the world. Break the stereotypes. Try to listen, try to hear, try to understand. I think it's an open mind approach. That's how I lived, and I think it opened my eyes. It's good to have experience from around the world.
All right. Maybe, is there any other student who want to ask a question? Just one. Thank you so much.
Hi, good afternoon, Your Excellency. I'm Chloe Matienzo from Philippine Women's University. And my question is, what do you think of the possibility of China's Belt and Road Initiative in Slovenia, and what are your thoughts in it?
China's Belt and Road Initiative. Yes, because China has this Belt and Road Initiative, and what would be the impact? Am I right? Did I get your question correctly?
Yes.
I wish to have easier question for the end. I will just say it very openly. For us, be it Slovenians or Europeans, we always try to have open approach and open dialogue. I was 3 times having a talk with my counterpart, China. I was visiting. We discussed global challenges. We discussed economic cooperation. We discussed how together address the global challenges, but mostly what are our positions on having a dialogue means that through the dialogue you can also tell the criticism or if you disagree. So I would say it's all part of the process. And this is how diplomacy works, to have a political dialogue and try to listen to each other. So to your question, we have an approach to discuss.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
All right, so that ends our question and answer. And thank you very much, Foreign Minister, for your generosity in answering all the questions. I wish we have more time to answer some of the questions from the audience. But at this point, you may remain seated, but we're going to hear the closing remarks from our department chair, Ms. Agnes Silva, the department chair of the International Studies Department.
Foreign Minister Tanja Fajon, Your Excellencies, President Juan Miguel R. Montinola, Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs, Maria Teresa Trinidad Dino, VP Rowena Capulong Reyes, VP Raquel Baquian, VP Joven Castro, guests, and of course, our students. As we move closer to the end of today's discussion on Slovenia-Philippine relations, I can't help but reflect on the values that bring us together as allies. Diplomacy, mutual respect, shared vision, and on the power of the rules, if I may quote Foreign Minister Fajon. Though we're geographically distant, diplomatic values have brought our 2 countries together. Our nations have found common ground in our commitment to international cooperation and sustainable development. The foundation has already been solidified when the Slovenian government established their embassy here in the Philippines yesterday, with an economic partnership and labor mobility to start up. If I may, Slovenia and the Philippines sees each other as like-minded partners, not only in basketball, if I may add, but in the commitment to the rule of law, multilateralism, and international law, especially on the aspect of development issues like climate change and cooperation for the Indo-Pacific strategy. For FEU, as a university that values the spirit of diplomacy and proactively looks for avenues for progressive development, for our international studies students here in FEU, we train, we mold, we galvanize, and of course, with such an honor for Foreign Minister Fajon to be here, we hope you understand that what you learn in your classrooms is not just of theoretical in value. And I hope, to our students, this justifies how hard we are on you, how many hard courses and assessments we have on you. It is because of one thing. The responsibility is on you. For our students, it is your responsibility to echo what you have learned today, to understand that diplomacy is where two nations, like Slovenia and the Philippines, wherein shared visions progress, especially with the uncertainties of our geopolitical situation. Now we can revisit allies that have now been strengthened. And if I may, as per President Montinola, this is due that we aim to produce independent thinkers, especially in the field of service and diplomacy. Once again, maraming salamat, Foreign Minister Fajon. And of course, to show our token of appreciation, may I call, please, President Montinola up to the stage. We will present our certificate of appreciation and our token of gratitude for Foreign Minister Fajon. If I may read the certificate, this certificate of appreciation is awarded to Foreign Minister Tanja Fajon for Her Excellency's valuable contribution as speaker at the FEU Department of International Studies Special Lecture with the theme Slovenia in the Philippines, Bridging ASEAN Connectivity, given this day of March 12, 2025 at Far Eastern University.
May we ask the Mr. President to stay here for the photo opportunity. Okay, for the photo opportunity, we would like to invite as well Ambassadors Miliana Quinez, Ambassador Evangelina Arroyo Bernas, Ambassador Rosario Manalo, and Ambassador from ASEAN member states to join on stage for the photo opportunity. Right. For the next photo opportunity, we would like to invite the FEU officials to join us on stage. SVP Eitinho, VP Wen, Reyes, VP Castro, Joven, the Dean of the Institute of Arts and Sciences, Mr. Diego Abad, and also Director for International Relations, and the Executive Director of the FEU Center for the Arts. Also, University Registrar, Mr. Genesis Borja. Okay, thank you very much. So once again, we want to express our deepest gratitude to Honorable Minister Tanja Fajon for sharing her insights about Slovenia relations with the Philippines and ASEAN. We also want to sincerely thank our distinguished guests and participants for making this event a fruitful and memorable one. May we request everyone to please remain seated and wait for the exit of our distinguished guest. Okay, let's all stand for as Foreign Minister Fajon exits the auditorium, and let's wait for the singing of the FEU hymn. Yes. That ends our program. Thank you very much for joining this afternoon's event.